Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you consciously tuned into Eye on Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy, the ambassador of joy. And you tuned in for one reason only. It's best reason in the whole world because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And you tune in because you know on this show, Eye on Las Vegas, we have some of the most dynamic, interesting, wonderful people that you'll ever meet. And you're going to meet in just a minute or two, America's storyteller. So get ready to rock. So I want to make mention of something. I lived in a place called Henderson, Nevada. So Henderson is 17 miles away from Las Vegas. Now I'm blessed with my podcast and webinars. I reach millions of people every month. And I can tell you, whenever I mention two words, Las Vegas, people lean in, open their eyes and ears and say, tell me more. That's because Las Vegas is a story in itself. Let me tell you one wonderful data point. If you take the entire population of New York City and all the people around it, the entire population of Chicago and all the people around it, the entire population of Los Angeles and all the people around it, and you add the entire population of the state of Florida, doesn't equal the number of people that come to Las Vegas in a year. 41 plus million people come here. Why? Because it's electric, it's energizing, it's a place of stories. And you're going to meet America's storyteller, one of the most interesting, fabulous, delightful people in the world. And I'm happy and honored to call him friend, wonderful, dynamic, fabulous, Neal Foard.
Hello,
Neal.
Barry. Nice to see you again. I did not know that statistic about Las Vegas, that all of those populations combined don't match the number of visitors to Las Vegas.
It's
Although
the number one convention place in the world. And people come here. It's designed, by the way. Isn't that fascinating? When you're designing a city, think about it. People 50, 70 years ago, they really understood what they were doing. They became an attraction. That's what Las Vegas is. It's an attraction. It's the entertainment capital of the world. Now, it has sex and gambling. Well, that's nice, and that's a little salt and pepper, right? However, there's just so much more. And that's what we're going to do. So I just want to tell people before you go on and just regale with great stuff. Neal Foard, that's with an A, F-O-A-R-D.
thank you for that.
He has his MS and his BE. And even he's wondering what an MS and a BE is. He's an MS, he's master storyteller, and BE, he's a branding expert. And that's not what I'm saying. That's not what he's saying. That's what the world said, because he's involved for 25 years, more than a quarter of a century, with some of the biggest, most famous brands in the world. And he helped create and shape and direct the ability for people, especially in the world of business, to do what we call the art of persuasive messaging. Notice he didn't say marketing. Notice he didn't say the art of persuasive messaging. And I just love what he does on the TEDx stage. That's cool. What he really does, what gets people, millions of people around the world, are his unique stories celebrating everyday human kindness. And he is the embodiment of being kind. Kind stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. So, you like that?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Foard, let's talk about storytelling for business. What does it mean for you, and what's going on with it?
Well, I want to start by going back a step to when you said that Las Vegas is electric. It's a place where stories are made. But I was under the impression that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So,
well, it used to, right?
yeah. What happens in Vegas winds up on X. Anyway, so back to the topic of storytelling for business. So in any company, there is a need to let the world know who you are, what you do, why you do it, etc. And if you use simple examples of, obviously, the sales arm of any company has to tell the story of the company and why it would make sense to do business with them. But think about like what it's like to be, say, the CEO of a pretty sizable organization, and you have to go on an earnings call. And what's happening is you have assembled journalists and investors, and they want to know, what are you planning to do for the next quarter or the next year? And it really is incumbent on a CEO not to just give them the facts and figures, but to paint them a vivid enough picture so that they want to participate. And that's storytelling. So I'll give you an example of that. When Steve Jobs, very early in the personal computer industry, when it was really just shaping in the early 80s, he had this marvelous way of putting it to say, when it comes to the efficiency of motion in all of the animal kingdom, human beings don't rate very highly. It takes a lot of calories for a human being to go a mile compared to, say, a condor, which using the updrafts can travel miles on very few calories. But as soon as you give a human being a bicycle, by orders of magnitude, they become the most efficient creatures on earth. Well, what we make at Apple is like a bicycle for the mind. So that is what a gifted CEO can do in terms of telling a story about what they do. And when you think about Steve Jobs as an example, he was exquisitely good at this in almost every way of describing what it was they do, and then who it was for and why it was better. So his bicycle for the mind was an apt metaphor for what separated a Macintosh operating system from a PC operating system. It was just so much easier to use. And he had that marvelous, you probably remember when he announced the iPhone, it wasn't just, hey, it does a million things. It wasn't like that. Instead, he said, today, I know that the news has gotten out that we're going to launch a very important product. Well, that's not strictly true. We're here to announce 3 brand new products. And then he said, I'm going to introduce you to a brand new web browser, the best there is anywhere. And then I'm going to introduce you to a new music streaming device. And then I'm going to introduce you to a new telephone, a web browser, a streaming device, or a music streaming device, and a telephone. And then he kept repeating it, and all of a sudden the audience got it, or at least a chunk of the audience did, which is, oh, it's not 3 products, it's 1. And as soon as the audience started to catch on, then he goes, yeah, it's 1. And there was this enormous eruption of applause. When you think about the way he did that, he told it in story form. He said, I know you think you're here to hear about an announcement of 1 product, but I've got 3. So right away, everybody's excited to hear, oh, well, what are the 3 products? And each one of them in their way was amazing. Oh, well, fabulous. I'll bet if Apple does a new streaming device for music, that must be amazing. Oh, and a new web browser, I can't even imagine what Apple would do with it. And then the real dime dropped was when he said a telephone, because that's what everybody suspected. But then when he keeps going and keeps repeating it, and they realize, oh my God, it's 1 device, that was such a game changer that it isn't sufficient to simply announce it. You have to build up suspense. And
So let me put you on pause for a moment, because what you've just done is that you secured your place. When I told people that I call you America's storyteller, you have your MS and your BE. So you just secured your place to what you just did. Because the ability for me, when I think what you just said, bicycle for the mind. Okay, I have an image, and that image is never going to leave me now. That's great. And what you did in the art of the story form using Steve Jobs, you mentioned somebody that everybody knows, has come to love and respect only because he shifted the entire planet with what he did. And he did it, I'm going to use now a metaphor. He wove a garment. He used weaving as the mechanism
Yeah,
in
well put.
storytelling.
Yeah, that's a good insight. And a really, really gifted leader, whether it's a middle manager or a union boss or a CEO or a president, a really gifted leader, what they have the ability to do is inspire you to be your best. So because you want to take part, it's no longer just transactional.
Yes.
It's that I feel like I've joined something important here. And sometimes, let me give you an example from real life that I observed up close. So after COVID, COVID forced everybody sort of to work remote. And then thanks to technologies like Zoom and like StreamYard, we were able to do that. We could pull it off. And then when we were all working remotely, people learned, oh, there are real dividends to this. I don't have to spend any money on gasoline. I don't have to waste 2 hours in the car. Not only that, but I can get a lot of things done that I would have otherwise had to wait or put off or ignore entirely. I can take care of people in my life, and so on. Well, then now that COVID is done and everybody is eager to sort of get people to come back into the office, leaders like to have their people around them because there are a variety of reasons for it. But I've often seen this return to office handled really like a blunt force object.
Right.
They have said, my way or the highway. Oh, no, you don't have to return to the office, but you don't have to come back to work at all. In
Right.
fact, my way or the highway, this kind of belligerent idea that you are only here under my royal decree, and I can rescind that decree at any time. Well, great. I'm so happy to be working for Louis XVI. What I saw, though, on display in a different example was something quite artful. And this is the sort of storytelling where a great leader makes you go, you know what? I want to take part in that. So this is the way it was described. This guy was about, I'd say, maybe 62 or 3. He was a seasoned guy. He wasn't the CEO. He was a very senior vice president, but he was not the top dog. And in the meeting, he said, when I was your age, when I was in my 20s, just starting out in my career, I didn't have any choice. I had to be in the office. And so I would never have anticipated that one of the great dividends of being there was that I found a mentor, somebody who helped me advance my career and learn things I would not have otherwise known. And it wasn't even my boss. He wasn't my mentor. It was a guy in the finance department. We just got along. And he gave me the benefit of all of the political intrigue that I didn't know about and all of the relationships with the clients that were longstanding. And he gave me what amounted to personal dossiers on their likes and dislikes. And he taught me how to write letters of thank you to people. He taught me how to make sales calls when I don't actually have anything to sell. I'm just there to ask how everything's going. He practiced those as a CFO. Even though I was in sales, I found that invaluable. And here's the thing. That sort of thing, when you're working remote, you never even know what you're missing. And I can tell you from my personal experience, once a person reaches a certain age in an organization, like I'm in my 60s now, you can't help yourself. You want to mentor people. It's a weird...
Whoa, wait a minute. This is so wonderful, transformational, and fabulous. You want to mentor people because people want to give and share. Now,
Right.
I am happy to say we have sponsors that love our show. We wouldn't have them on if we didn't think you're worthy of your time and attention. So get ready. We'll be right back with one of the most amazing people you'll ever experience, Neal Foard, right back after this brief message. Don't go away.
Any business leader who has stood in front of potential investors can tell you, creating a vivid, compelling vision of the future can be the difference between bankruptcy and billions. If you can move people with words, you can practically will things into existence. Something that seems impossible can be made to seem inevitable. But not with bullet points. with a well-crafted and well-told story. I spent 30 years in advertising, creating stories for giant brands, universities, and governments, and changing people's hearts and minds. And over those years, I accumulated a treasure chest of insights about how to entertain and inspire and move people. And I think I can teach you. Can you think of a tool more powerful than human speech? See how your value changes when you start to master the oldest human art form.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking because you're always looking for and find the good. Our cup runneth over with good. He is the MS, the master storyteller, America's storyteller. That mantle was worn by one of the greatest interesting storytellers called Mark Twain. And again, we have a worldwide audience. If you don't know Mark Twain, look him up and refresh yourself of what it means to be fun and storytelling and hitting and punching and doing it in a way that people say, well, that's great, I love it. And we left our intrepid hero, Mr. Foard, leading us on about the idea of a senior vice president making people aware of the benefits. Here was the key, the benefits of being with others. An ability for each one to be a mentor, to share, to spread happiness and rejuvenating energy, because that's what the office is really about. Sometimes it becomes a tribe, and we'll talk about that in a moment. I just want to share with you, wonderful Neal, very quickly. You mentioned about that business was no longer just transactional. So one of the things that I was taught by when I was 21, by a man who was 29, who was a multi-millionaire, and this goes back 50 plus years.
When $1 million was a lot of money.
A lot. It was real money. He was 29 years old. He was a multi-millionaire. He had 2 Weimaraners. If you don't know those dogs, you have to look them up. And he had the ultimate convertible. It was great. And he was a good guy. And his whole world was, I want to show people how to become millionaires. And he told me, he said, Barry, you're going to become a millionaire. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm going to show you, and I give this away for free. And I asked him the great question, why do you do it for free? What do you, Charlie, I do it for free. And he gave me an insight that was transformational. So that's what I'm talking to you right now. You mentioned the T word for business. People tend to think that business is transactional. And for me, because how I was raised and taught by my father, even going back to the age of 9, business is both transactional and transformational because it needs to work for everyone. If it doesn't work for everyone, it's not business. It's a hustle. It's grabbing. It's this. Whatever you want to say.
Well put. Yeah.
So it's the TT. And let's add another T. Let's talk about the tribe. I know you, part of what you just mentioned about this executive was he was encouraging people to be in the office environment because it's a tribe that can bring about positive benefits. Now, there's obviously another aspect to a tribe, something you call tribalism. But let's talk about tribe. By the way, let me share with you a quick acronym for tribe. May I do that?
Okay.
Thank you. Tribe stands for togetherness results in becoming excellent.
All right. I'm never going to remember all the acronyms.
You don't have to. The important thing is what you do. And actually, we'll shift a little bit. I am inspired on a regular basis by the postings of Neal Foard. So you need to just click and find them. And because he's really talking about the milk of human kindness. And it's delicious. So let's talk about what you've mentioned to me in previous meetings together, the ROI of kindness. Because to me, that's part of the American mindset, by the way. People, they hear Las Vegas from all over the world. Las Vegas, wow, image, et cetera, and glitter. And okay. The other issue with Las Vegas, I mentioned, is that it's excitement, it's entertainment. Everybody I talk to wants to live in America. And I say, you don't have to live here. What you want is an American mindset. American mindset is I can, I will, I'll be helpful, I'm here to share, being kind and generous and giving. So let's talk about what your insight is into what you call the ROI of kindness.
Well, I've got a bunch of those. If I could just put an epilogue on the story I was telling before about the guy, he was suggesting that if you come back into the office, you have the advantage of having mentors at your disposal who can help guide you and so on. And one of the most important things about his appeal to returning to office was, I'm not telling you, I'm inviting you. And you don't have to come back in, but if you don't come back in, you don't get the benefit of this career changing advantage. Now, if you think about it, the way I would have thought about it at 22 or 23 is, if I don't come back in, I'm deliberately handicapping myself from growth. I'm leaving money on the table. I'm not acquiring new skills. I'm not building relationships. And to go back to your section, your thoughts on tribe, yeah, that a tribe is very much an organization that's not transactional. It helps itself. It bonds for emotional and transactional reasons. Exactly as you were describing before, the idea that business is transformational and not just transactional. Great, good business done well isn't a hustle. It's a perpetual game of exchange and good feeling and fellowship and so forth. Tribe, that's what tribes are for. When we band together, we survive better than we could on our own. And I shake my head at the impulse to compel people to do anything, when the opposite, inviting them to do something, giving them the realistic expectation, I'm doing this under my own energy and auspices. I am choosing this. Once you've chosen, you are emotionally committed in a way that being compelled to do anything only invites, small acts of rebellion. So when I watched this in real time, I thought, I don't just like the appeal. I don't just like the pitch. I feel like I really would learn something from that man. And what's more, I wouldn't mind being that guy.
Oh, Neal.
Wouldn't mind living up to that and
right.
That example. And to me, if you will, that's my jumping off point for the ROI of kindness, because his return on investment by inviting rather than compelling, by giving them an invitation rather than an ultimatum, he's being kind. But you can imagine, Barry, and this would have been your style, you're going to get it back way more than if you had compelled people. Right. It's come back to you in by orders of magnitude, with people entering under the right attitude. They're coming back engaged, energized. They can't wait to participate in this. And perfectly well, I don't know for a fact, because I didn't follow up with him, about how people came back in, but I know he was inundated by invitations to, with proteges. You just knew he was. And why would you not? He's invited you.
Hello. I get the opportunity to engage with, speak with, meet, learn from a man who has every measure of success. And as you said so brilliantly, what an idea. I have a model.
Yeah.
I have
now
a
look
model.
Look at yourself as another example of the return on investment of kindness. So here you are, you're really just going into the day, every day, like a shepherd, like a ladder, like a lifeboat. You're going into the day and you're trying to spread upbeat energy, positivity. This is a very generous act, but you have to admit it's coming back to you in waves, right?
My cup runneth over with good.
Yeah. So you're getting fed, and it's very equivalent to sunlight, if you will. I mean, it's going out there and it's spreading a certain kind of energy. It's helping things grow. It's positive, and because of this, you have you yourself you don't lose any vitamin C in this activity. Do you? Right? So that's even if you were only doing it for your own profit, it would still be profitable to spread good cheer and fellowship and the warmth of the tribe and the feeling that you're not alone. You have friends. So I've got lots of examples of stories of in little ways and in very big ways of how there is profit to be had from acts of kindness. The ones I favor most are the small and persistent and every opportunity acts. So an example would be when you are out in a restaurant or you are ordering a coffee or you're doing anything that involves someone who has to serve the public. If you've been in an airport, Barry, and recently, you know how put upon the people behind the counter are. They just see a wave after wave of people who are irritable, short-tempered, and that often foist all of their anger at the service person, even though the service person is not to blame for their suffering.
And doesn't even have the ability to relieve it.
Right. They're not empowered to change your life actually, they do have a certain latitude. But let me return to this idea. If everybody said to themselves, you're going to leave the house today and you're going to encounter people who are service people. And you say, my job is not to get the most that I can out of this service person. My job is to restore their faith in humanity. I want to go out into the world with a deliberate intent to make sure that the service people I encounter feel like they can go on. Now, the amount of pleasure I get from this is so disproportionate to the amount of effort that goes into it that I would like to really recommend for your people that they do stuff like get yourself a bunch of these or just little things that you can leave behind for a barista.
Right, to add to that, as Neal knows, we have
there you go. Right.
Cards.
There you go. And you can just do little cartoons for people and stuff. But
token of appreciation.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. It's a token. So that's I'm going to steal that word today. It's a token. And you get to sort of spend it on your well-being.
Right.
And what that will do for you as the person delivering the token of appreciation is that even if they don't return any of that energy to you, if they've had such a bad day that they can't even bring themselves to thank you in response, then you have done them an extra favor, like an extra amount, because that's the deficit they're running that day, is that it's been so bad they can't even get back to the surface of the water. So if you go out and you do these small gestures, you're literally on the lookout for opportunities to do that. Then what will happen to you is you're going to get fulfilled. You're going to feel better. It is the default human setting to feel good about oneself when they're not being a problem. I'll give you another example of a small act that you can do. Okay, you're driving, you're in traffic. Somebody wants to merge into your lane.
Wait a minute, let's call it what it is. Cut you off. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. They want to cut you off. You know what? Go with peace, brother. Absolutely.
Right. Enjoy.
Go ahead. You go ahead. If you're in a hurry, I don't want to be the one to hold you up. You do your thing. Now, you might be saying, yes, but it's unfair. You don't know that. There might be a really good reason why they need to.
He's on the way to the hospital because his wife's giving birth.
Could be. You don't know. So, but here's what's going to happen. If you make a habit of letting people in, I can almost guarantee you will arrive probably within 3 or 4 minutes of when you would have gotten there otherwise. And this is also true. Hey man, you don't know. There could be a guardian angel on your shoulder that you needed to be a little late for. Do you know what has that ever happened to you, Barry? Like I remember being at an intersection where I got to the intersection probably about 14, 15 seconds later than I would have because somebody pulled in front of me, only to get to watch a car go blowing right through the light, I would have been T-boned. That happened to me, where I went, oh, that being a little late got me too far back to get hit by that car. So you don't know, but I believe that when you flow with the universe and you spread kindness and you give the intention of saying, hey, you go ahead, man. You don't upset me. On the contrary, this is just one more little deposit.
Okay, let's, on this wonderful, there's a famous song, I guess must be 60, 70 years old. Spread happiness throughout the land. Wait a minute. Oh, and put on a happy face. Well, wonderful, Neal. I'm loath to say the words I'm about to say. However, we're going to say them. We talked about time. We're coming to a close in our time together.
Oh,
so I have three quick questions for you.
All right.
Number one, will you come back again?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Number two, Neal Foard, you have only 80 seconds to answer this question, dear sir. What is your most fervent desire?
Well, I would like to contribute everything I can within my power to fighting the negativity and division and rage baiting that happens online. So even though I will not have a really big footprint in that, at least I want to feel guiltless about having tried. So that's it, is that our algorithms and so forth are trying, they're dividing us and they're making us angry with one another and they're getting us addicted to, an echo chamber where
So your fervent desire is to spread joy, happiness, peace, and love.
True enough.
And you do. And number three, may I give you a hug in front of 529,716 people around the world? Let me tell you what HUG stands for again. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1, 2, 3. And remember, you're listening to Eye on Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy, amazing MSBE, master storyteller, branding expert, Neal Foard. And we would like to leave you with a blessing. And the blessing is, go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Neal, don't go away.